Right, 9 albums. This is number 9, right? The Soft Bulletin.
You know, I'm not really sure. You know, it could be 10 or 11 or something. You know, I never actually sit down and count. I mean, because we do so many, you know, singles and EPs and, you know, things
like
that to me.
You count an EP and your grand total.
Right.
Kind of a gray area there.
Exactly. So but you know, I have to put them all together just the same. I mean, it's just as much hassle sometimes to do a 6-song EP as it is to do, like, you know, an 11-song record. So I forget how many, but it's probably somewhere between 9 and 12. Everybody would be correct.
A dozen-ish, we'll say.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how did Flaming Lips come about back in the day?
I mean, you know, back in 1982, 1983. Me and Michael, who were, you know, Michael's still in the band, but there was my brother and one other guy. We were the ones that started the band. And, you know, I don't really know why it came about. I mean, rock and roll bands are one of those things, you know, there really is no reason to do it. You just feel like, you know, the world would be a better place if we're a band. And when you're, you know, 19, 20 years old, that's really all the reason you need. I mean, we had no particular skill. We weren't actually very good singers or guitar players or any of that stuff, but
that wasn't your pitch to the record label, was it?
Well, that seemed to almost be better for us, you know, because we really were doing it out of the sense of art and adventure and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And at the time, I mean, you know, we were surrounded by a lot of bands who were doing the same thing, so it wasn't as though, you know, we were bravely going against the norm. Back then, there was a lot of amateurish punk bands, even in our own area that we knew, and we thought, oh, we'll just do that sort of thing. And little did we know, you know, gosh, you know, almost 17 years later, that we'd still be doing it and still basically be amateurs. I know it looks professional and everything now, but
sure.
Well,
it says a lot, you know, to have some, you know, a dozen-ish, once again, albums out. That's a career as is, and you're still going strong.
Well, sure. I mean, I sometimes look at it as like no one has stopped us. I mean, I sometimes think people will
the
eventually.
Secret's still out there.
Right. Someone will come to their senses and say, you know, gee, you know, those Flaming Lips guys.
That's kind of how we are with our shows.
Exactly.
Nobody's caught on yet.
No one's caught you yet.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel, definitely, yeah.
Well, I want to talk about Zaireeka, your 4-disc set.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool because you can play them all together. And
well, yeah, I mean, it's an absurd concept, really. I mean, I can see where, you know, hi-fi enthusiasts and people who are sort of, I don't know, there are people who tend to believe in the evolution of music and stuff, and I think, you know, current ideas are, you know, the vehicles for pushing the evolution of music somewhere. I don't know if it's going forwards, backwards, sideways, or what, but, you know, I think everybody in some way, you know, all artists want to contribute to some momentum, you know, of their own time or whatever. And I think Zaireeka was our first stab at sort of feeling like these were our own unique ideas that we could offer to music. I mean, I think up until then we had kind of, you know, we had taken a lot from music. We had taken a lot from just records that we liked and influences and stuff. And I think with Zaireeka, we sort of felt like it was the first time that we ever said, look, this is uniquely us. This isn't a combination of all of our record collections.
You know, you hear about playing records backwards or what have you, and then to actually be able to play 4-disc together.
Oh, right.
And it worked just, you know, in a different way, certainly than individually.
Well, you know, it's meant to be a listening experience, not necessarily a casual listen. Like, say, you know, when you listen to even the Soft Bulletin, you can listen to it and do the dishes at the same time if you wanted to, and then, you know, that's fine. But with Zaireeka, you know, you really sort of, everybody has to kind of be engaged. You know, so like you're running that CD player, I'm running this, and it's more of a listening experience. It's not something that you want to put on every day. I mean, some people do. I don't recommend it, but you know, you want to put it on and have it be an experience where people, you know, listen and talk about it and go, wow, did you hear that, or whatever. And
well, I didn't mean to interrupt you the way. I'm sorry.
Well, pushing the whole evolution of music, you're doing the same thing with concerts too. I hear about the headphone thing. Explain this. I just don't.
Well,
I don't really understand.
I think it's all really connected into this idea of doing, you know, our own unique thing. I mean, the trouble with that sort of thing is you don't actually know if anybody cares, so you have to do it and see if people either ignore it or think you're stupid or like it. So with the headphone part of the concerts, what I started off doing is we were getting ready to start to do concerts again, and I always felt as though people like me, when they would come to shows, not our shows, but anybody's shows, you know, I don't go to the front anymore. I don't go to the very front couple of rows because, well, I'm an old guy and I just don't like.
These days.
Yeah, I don't like getting beat up or
You gotta
hot
be there
and
at
sweaty.
like 6 o'clock too. These
Right.
days.
I kind of like to stand in the back and have a little bit of room to just hang out or whatever. But inevitably, you stand in the back and it sounds horrible. That's why a lot of times people go up to the front because it's loud and it's just that's where the most impact of the concert is. So I thought, if a guy like me came to one of our concerts, wouldn't it be great if he could wear a pair of headphones at the back of the room and he could hear it in perfect stereophonic, nice, bright, clear separations as if they're listening to our records, the quality that you can hear on our records. And as soon as I thought that to myself, I thought, well, I should just do it. And that's how a lot of my ideas come. I think, what would a guy like me want out of this world? And so I think, well, I'd like that. So I just started doing it. And it works phenomenally well. I mean, the way that we do it is we set up a little radio station inside the club. There's one set up in there right now. It's a little 1-watt radio station. You'll see an antenna in there. And we have, at the moment, we're carrying around 150 headphones. And with the headphones comes a little FM receiver. And we tune the radio station and this receiver together, and then you plug in your headphones and you have a volume control on there and you put your headphones on, you can walk around. You could even probably be down here tonight, and even though the club is upstairs, you could probably sit in this room tonight and hear the concert in perfect stereo. Cool. I mean, you can go to the bathroom, stay in there as long as you want.
Take the
Don't have to worry about missing your favorite song. If you got to do some business in there and you can still hear it. I mean, and it's just one of those things, and it's so simple. Even though it feels like it would be a lot of technical mumbo jumbo or whatever, it actually works, marvelously simply well.
I think it's cool too. I know it's not a gimmick, but almost, I don't know, to come to a concert and to be handed a set of headphones.
Oh, no,
it's just
totally.
something different. I mean, it makes it a little more fun.
I think it has elements of gimmick and novelty about it, but I don't necessarily think of those things as bad. I mean, I think I would want people to look at what we do as being unique. Now, if this makes us unique to do this, well, that's fine. But I do think eventually a lot of people will do it because it is so simple to do. And
Really good idea.
people do become more hi-fi oriented all the time. I mean, you drive around in your car, and a lot of people's car stereos these days are actually very good sounding stereos. They're cheap, and everybody has them anymore. People have these big subwoofers and tweeters and all this. And, you go back, 10, even 15 years ago, and people were still, driving around with fairly, caveman-esque type stereo systems and not caring. They say, it sounds fine. I'm just listening to the radio anyway. Whereas these days, fairly young kids are getting into the idea of having big, fat sounding, low end in their music and real crisp high end. And people are becoming sort of hi-fi oriented. And it just makes sense to me that eventually concerts will too. So I don't think that we will be the only ones that are doing it. I think in the future people will have headphones.
It continues to raise the level.
And even, when you go to movies these days, if you go to one of those big, 24, theaters in one complex sort of place, they'll have headphones there for people who have hard of hearing and stuff, or old people who just don't want to sit there and listen to it come off the stage. And I go and I get them and I turn them up real loud and I go, that sounds marvelous. So I know it's already happening. And
there you go. Once again, with your targeting, you target yourself.
Exactly, right. It's me first and then everybody else. But at the same time, I'm always surprised that if people do like it and it does appeal to other people. But it isn't something that's for everybody. I mean, a lot of people do still come to concerts just to have a good time and talk to their friends, and it's a social thing. And I don't want people to think that we don't like that aspect of it. I mean, we don't care what you do. If you come to our concerts and you want to listen, fine. If you want to talk, well, we don't really care. Do whatever you want to do.
So no jumping off the stage then. If some kids, if it's too
no, exactly.
Pulling off the headset.
Well, some people will get the headphones and it's a radio station. They'll just go and listen to their favorite radio station. And and frankly, I don't really care. I think that's whatever they want to do is fine by me.
All right. Well. Yeah, we're about to play "Waiting for a Superman" off.
Oh, awesome! All right.
So I haven't seen the video yet. What can you tell us? Set it up.
Well, I think it's the video that has my brother's son in it. I think he's the cutest kid in the world, and people who will see this will know what I mean. And I've used Steven. He's the other singer and keyboard player in the band, and he's supposed to look like the distraught father at the park with his son, and then this little story unfolds where I'm walking through the park, my character's walking through the park, and I hit my head because I'm reading a book. And I don't do that in real life, but my character in the video was reading a cookbook while he was walking through the park, and he runs into a pole and he bumps his head and his head starts to bleed. And and then the story unfolds, and
All right.
people will watch
Well,
the
let's-
video.
Yeah,
and they
let's
can
take a
see.
look at it
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
Thanks so much for talking with us.
All right, well, sure. All right.
Here's Waiting for Superman by the Flaming Lips.